Hey guys, welcome to Unlimited Health. Let's check out this video call. It's the final episode or part of this Europe, the First Crusade series. Okay, I've been reacting to the whole series. The whole series has been really entertaining. I don't know if I should laugh or I don't know, because this is like the history of the entirety of America and all of that, the entirety of Christianity and everything. It's ridiculous. All the Europe, okay? It's Crusades, man. So it's like, what the fuck? Okay, so it was kind of comedic and it's all cartoonish in these videos, in this series, and it's like, should I even be laughing at this? Because they do really make it sound funny, and it's like, I don't know, okay? But I really enjoyed it. Siege of Antioch, Men of Iron was the best episode so far, fantastic series. Okay, so we're the final part of this. It's called Europe, the First Crusade, On to Jerusalem, Extra History Part 6. This is the final part, and let's see. And also, like, after this series, I'm gonna watch Epic History TV's Crusade series. Okay, it's only 2 parts, but that dude actually explains it much more seriously and whatnot, and we're gonna have to see what exactly happened and how serious it was, and at the same time maybe how silly it was a little bit, because this series shows me that it was also very silly. I don't know. Let's just find out this final part. It's only 9 minutes long. It's gonna be fun, and also, like, we're gonna watch another video in here, which is a short. Okay, this was added into the playlist, so we're gonna watch that at the end. It's only 1 minute long, so yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, and also, like, please subscribe if you like this reaction. Also, please do watch. I only upload once a week, but I do upload a lot of videos. Okay, so you'll have a lot of stuff throughout the whole week to watch, and you'll be happy. Okay, so let's just get into this final part, and we'll watch the shorts as well in the end, and it's gonna be fun. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, this is gonna be amazing. Is it 1080p, 720p? This is a very old series, by the way. Like, what, 12 years ago or 8 years ago? I think 8 years ago. Very old series. Back when 1080p didn't even exist. So whatever, let's go. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Final part. Let's go.
Last we left off, the Crusaders had just taken Antioch. Now they have to hold it.
Yeah.
It's just a small series of problems. One, the Turkish army bearing down on them has now surrounded Antioch. 2, the Turkish garrison in Antioch still holds the citadel, which is inside the city walls.
Oh my
3,
God.
Antioch is almost out of food after that prolonged siege the Crusaders themselves put it under.
Fuck.
4, the day before they took Antioch, Stephen of Blois just decided that everything was hopeless and abandoned the crusade, for which he would be mocked for the rest of his days. 5, to compound his desertion, on his way back, Stephen ran into the...
So he left in the middle, and now he's mocked for the rest of his life? Holy shit, bro.
Byzantine relief army and told them all hope was lost. So the Byzantines were like, okay, and promptly turned around to defend their own territory.
Was he afraid that somebody was gonna kill him? The enemies are gonna come in, the Turkish army was gonna come in and start killing him or something? But he should have stayed, man. I know how it feels, and the humiliation. I get it. Oh man, I feel bad for him though.
So there would be no Byzantine reinforcements arriving. But for 4 straight days, the Turks assaulted the walls, and for 4 days, the beleaguered Crusaders held. Bohemond desperately racing between containing the Turks in the citadel and trying to hold the wall. Godfrey rallying the troops. The Turks attacked in waves to keep their forces fresh, but there were already too few Crusaders to hold the great ramparts, and so they fought without relief.
No!
After 4 days of vicious combat, the Turks decided, you know what, let's just starve these guys out. So, once again, starvation set in, and Crusader morale began to drop.
No!
Things looked bleak, but then, a sign. An impoverished local mystic claimed to have had a vision of St. Andrew telling him where the lance of Longinus, the holy lance that supposedly pierced Christ's side, was buried. So the Crusaders started to dig a big hole in the floor of the Church of St. Peter in Antioch. The mystic jumped down into the pit, and lo and behold, he pulled out a hunk of iron. We found it, he said, the head of the Lance of Longinus.
Wow!
Bohemond and Tancred were skeptical,
Okay.
and Bishop Adhemar was having none of it. They already had one of those Holy Lance things back in Rome, but the ordinary soldiers were inspired. Raymond declared it a sign that they would prevail. 13 days later, with food running out, the gaunt and wild-eyed Crusaders rode out of the gates to attack the Turks. Carrying the Lance of Longinus and with the fervor of men otherwise doomed, the Crusaders let out a great yell and charged the vastly superior Turkish force.
Dang!
6 columns of men, each led by one of the lords of the Crusade, poured out of the city gates and slammed into the Turkish line.
Yes!
Later, soldiers would speak of having seen the saints riding amongst them, carrying banners of white, riding steeds like snow. And with desperation they fought. The Turks lit a great fire to drive them back, but through flame and smoke they fought on, until at last, against all odds, the Turkish line collapsed. The Crusaders fell upon the Turkish camp and the stores held there. The Crusade had survived. Unbeknownst to the Crusaders, though, they'd had one advantage. While the Turkish host appeared to them to be one mighty army, it was actually, like the crusading force, made up of many smaller armies with their own commanders. And it turns out that many of those commanders would have rather seen the Crusaders keep Antioch than have it fall into the hands of their superior. So as soon as the battle began to turn, many of them used it as an excuse to just desert and flee. But no matter the cause, the Crusaders had overcome the last great obstacle between them and Jerusalem. Now the crusade would be complete in no time, right? Not exactly. Raymond and Bohemond immediately began to dispute who would get to keep Antioch. Bohemond, always a little slyer than Raymond, eventually won out, after months and months of arguing while the crusade languished in Antioch. During that time, Hugh was sent off to talk to the Byzantine Empire about rejoining the crusade, but Hugh was never Alexius's favorite, and his pleas seemed to have little impact. So what did Hugh do? Instead of returning to the crusade, as originally planned, he basically said, "Well, I'm out. Peace," and wandered off back to Europe, for which he would be mocked for the rest of his days. And that's not all. During the months spent sitting around Antioch, a sickness passed through the camp, and Bishop Adhemar took ill and died, leaving the crusade as a whole functionally leaderless. At this point, Raymond, deciding that he possessed the Holy Lance and thus should be leader, started the crusade south again. This decision was in some ways precipitated by one of the grimmest moments in the crusade, the siege of the nearby city of Marat. After massacring the local population, while Bohemond and Raymond disputed who owned the place, the Crusaders were reduced to such a state of hunger that even the Western chroniclers talk in appalled tones about them roasting and boiling the dead Turks to eat.
Oh my God!
So, with only one major incident of cannibalism behind him, Raymond came to the conclusion that he
They were cannibalizing? What the fuck?
been ordained by God.
Starvation is so bad that you probably resort to cannibalism no matter what. I think even now, all the people that are like, ugh, cannibalism, even they would be fucking eating, even now, like, honestly. Starvation is such a bitch. If you starved, if you did some kind of a diet, just a simple, ridiculous, stupid diet is enough to teach you what starvation can do to you. Like, seriously. Man, imagine not eating for 1 or 2 weeks. You're gonna start hallucinating good looking, like, amazing food, and then you start fucking going crazy. That thing is guaranteed, like, seriously.
God to lead the crusade south toward Jerusalem and started trekking through the country. But only Tancred and Robert of Normandy agreed to follow. Jerusalem was in Shia hands at this point in time, so the crusade actually passed through most of the countryside without incident. The local Sunni population even helped supply them in the hopes that the Crusaders would both leave them alone and give the Shia a good kicking. But then Raymond decided that he needed to attack the town of Arca, which is pretty random as it had no bearing on them getting to Jerusalem. Of course, it would have some bearing if you were secretly planning to subvert the crusade in order to take over Tripoli and set up a kingdom of your own there, but we'll never know if that was Raymond's true intention because he utterly failed. In fact, he failed so spectacularly that Tancred and Robert left him to go join Godfrey, whom Raymond promptly asked for help. The combined Robert, Tancred, Godfrey army showed up, but it still wasn't enough to prosecute the siege, so the crusade just kind of stalled out again. Until a clergyman in Godfrey's army basically challenged the mystic who had found the Holy Lance to a monk duel, and the mystic agreed to undergo an ordeal by fire. Tragically, said mystic was not protected by God during the ordeal and burned to death, and the lance was discredited. Most of
Come
Raymond's
on!
credibility had come from possessing...
he probably picked some random... top of the spear or whatever, and oh look, I found the holy, I don't know. Maybe he did find the Holy Lance, but fuck, he threw it away. That motherfucker threw it away, man. Fuck that.
that lance, and now, since the lance was no longer a sacred object, thanks to the clergy beatdown, Godfrey took over and said, "Let's get back to going south toward Jerusalem, huh?" So, without further incident, other than one moment where Tancred popped over to conquer Bethlehem just real quick, the Crusaders finally made it to Jerusalem.
Yes!
But by this point, the crusade was in tatters.
Oh.
Baldwin was up in Edessa doing his own thing. Hugh had abandoned the crusade. Bohemond was holding down Antioch. The Byzantines were just done with the whole affair.
Oh,
Stephen had
man.
run off, and Ottomar was dead. There weren't really a lot of crusaders left to do the besieging. To add to this,
man.
the Fatimid forces holding the city had poisoned all the nearby wells, so
Oh.
the Crusaders were also rapidly succumbing to thirst. The remaining princes
man.
decided they'd have to take Jerusalem by assault or not at all. There's no way they could maintain a siege. But there
Okay.
was still one other problem. The surrounding countryside had been stripped bare. There was no lumber to build siege towers or scaling ladders.
Oh,
Things
man.
looked pretty hopeless.
Oh,
But just
God.
then, a group of Genoese ships arrived at a nearby port and saved the day.
Damn, the things just happen out of nowhere. It's like God's plan. It's almost like God is directing this. And that's how the Crusades have happened, you know? It's almost like God took a part in this. I don't know. It's crazy.
Genoese agreed to dismantle their ships and bring the timber as quickly as possible to Jerusalem. The crusade wasn't over yet. The siege towers began to rise. On July 13th, 1099 CE, the assault on Jerusalem began. The Crusaders split into two forces, one led by Raymond, the other on the opposite side of the city, led by Godfrey and Tancred. As Raymond's tower began to roll forward, it was battered and nearly destroyed.
Oh,
Raymond's
man.
assault had failed, but Godfrey and Tancred had been far more crafty. Like Raymond, they too had been erecting a siege tower on their side, and seeing this, the defenders had prepared their defenses all along the wall facing it. But unlike Raymond, the night before the assault, Godfrey and Tancred had disassembled and rebuilt their siege equipment in front of a totally different part of the wall. When the assault began, the section of the wall they attacked was completely unprepared. Still, the fight...
Just distract them. It's like Tom and Jerry, you know? It's some cartoonish shit. Oh, they're looking at this. We're gonna look. We're pushing. We're getting close to you. But no, they're actually building another one on the other side. That's hilarious.
Things swayed back and forth. For 2 days, the Crusaders assaulted the walls, and for 2 days they were held back. Raymond's tower was burnt to the ground, and many of the siege engines were smashed. But at last, Godfrey's tower reached the wall.
Okay.
Godfrey and Tancred were among the first across. The battle along the wall was hard fought. No grand strategy or clever maneuvers, just a desperate melee that resolved down to a few hundred instances of men locked in single combat. But in the end, the Crusaders won out and opened the city gate.
Shit.
Now, with forces...
Man, these Crusaders are more badass than the most trained soldiers out there. What the fuck? These people survive, kill each other, kill others, and they just survive without... I don't think they're even wearing any armor or anything. They just go in and start murdering. And then in the name of... I don't know, God, they just fucking win everything. It's crazy. It's something about their spirit and, you know, the determination and will to do things is making them win everything, literally everything. That's amazing. That's actually inspiring. Wow.
Pouring in from all sides, the Muslim defenders broke and fled into the city. Victorious, the Crusader army began the biggest massacre the Holy Land had ever seen.
Stop.
Men, women, and...
These Muslims... I don't want to generalize Muslims, but they have always been, you know, bloodthirsty, ruthless pieces of shit, man. Even now, like the fucking, like I said, the Pakistani terrorists, you might kill a fast-moving ninja, man, disappearing through shadows. You can kill that motherfucker, but you can't kill a fucking Pakistani terrorist, bro. Those motherfuckers are so stubborn and so deadly. And them and their AK-47s, it's like those motherfuckers are so deadly. You know, you cannot even, like, there's stories, like there was even a movie based on real life incident called, the movie's name was called I forgot something. It was Mark Wahlberg's movie where he's a bunch of soldiers go through a Pakistani terror, like territory and stuff like that. In the jungles, the Pakistanis come in and start shooting, and all the soldiers, Mark Wahlberg, everybody just start rolling down the hill, and it's all fucked up. Like, my point is, the Muslims have always been crazy. I don't know why, okay? Look at this shit. Look at this. He's killing innocent people, man. Why? Because your Allah is great? Come on, dude. Really? Really, man, come on. You gotta kill in order to protect your religion or dominate and shit like that. Really, man.
Children were slain as they ran through the streets. The chroniclers describe Crusaders wading ankle-deep in blood through Jerusalem as they butchered all those they could find. Only brides were seen. Men, women, and children were slain as they ran through the streets. The chroniclers describe Crusaders wading ankle-deep in blood through Jerusalem as they butchered all those they could find. Only the youngest of the crusading princes, Tancred, tried to stop the slaughter, going so far as to give a group of Muslims his banner and telling them to show it to anybody who came for them to let them know that they were under his protection. But even this was futile. Tancred was called off to attend to some other part of the fighting, and when he returned, those he'd offered protection to were dead upon the mosque floor. There would be one more battle outside of Jerusalem, but this was pretty much it. That's how the Crusaders retook the Holy Land. And thus, the First Crusade ended.
So much. Let me see again.
And when he returned, those he'd offered protection to were dead upon the mosque floor.
Oh, man.
There would be one more battle outside of Jerusalem, but this was pretty much it. That's how the Crusaders retook the Holy Land. And thus, the First Crusade ended.
Yeah, fuck this. Oh my god! Alright, we're gonna get to the next small 1 minute short that is. Let's just get into it, okay? Let's just watch it and we're gonna talk about all that shit that just happened. Really? Kill motherfuckers? Whatever, let's go. Let's just watch this. Let's watch this, okay?
Urban II called for a crusade to retake Jerusalem. Pope Urban II called for a crusade to retake Jerusalem in 1095. The first group to answer the call weren't exactly who he'd expected. Rather than knights, the first army to march toward Jerusalem was an undisciplined horde of peasants known as the People's Crusade. One branch followed a poor preacher, another a murderous count, and one group...
It's almost like all the peasants just decided to fucking... You know, we need a decent way of life. Let's just go and you know, set up a crusade and let's fucking get rich, motherfuckers, or something like that. And then they just went and captured the entirety of Jerusalem, even though they were getting massacred and killed. It's almost like a fight for life, basically. And you know, whether they were you know, firm believers in God or not. But it's really inspiring to see, you know.
Followed a goose. 3 separate chronicles mention a woman who set out on crusade to Jerusalem, only to be followed by a goose from her farm. This was so unusual that soon peasants were saying the bird was inspired by God, especially after it followed her into a church. Some even claimed the goose was leading them rather than following. But since geese aren't really made to walk hundreds of miles, it got as far as northeastern France before it keeled over and died.
Oh,
now, really
man.
Well,
I feel so bad for the goose. Come on. Really?
Possibly, the People's Crusade did create a kind of mass hysteria. Though these stories could also just be the elite chronicler.
That goose must be like so loyal or completely loves that woman or something. And it just came so far and then it couldn't, because it's like it got big feet and big mouth. It's kind of... like fat on its own weight a little bit, and so it just can't go too long. It's not a cheetah or anything.
Portraying these peasants as wrong-headed and stupid, in contrast to the professional knights that employed them. For more about the First Crusade...
Dang!
Oh, that's Goose for click the link below.
Alright, that goose story was cool. I liked it, but I didn't like the fact that it died. But, yeah, man, what the fuck? You would kill people? Come on, dude. These were crusaders trying to, you know, I know they were trying to capture and, you know, even killing in order to, you know, in the name of God and trying to, you know, go to their, what do you call it, Jerusalem, the Holy Land and everything. That's all, you know, I forgive that. But to just randomly kill children, fucking mothers holding babies, all that shit. You're gonna kill them while they're trying their best to survive the Crusades and you know dominate Jerusalem and whatnot, to take over Jerusalem and whatnot. Come on, man, you can't do that. You just can't do that like that. Like really. I mean, come on. That sucks. But I like the fact that they were able to, you know, go through a journey even though a lot of people died, and also like this fucking Turkish assholes. It's just, I'm sorry, man. I know it's almost like I sound like I am, generalizing all Muslims, but whenever they show up in any story, any history part of any event, they're always negative. They're always aggressive. In the name of Allah, they'll fucking start murdering and shit. It's crazy, man. What the fuck? Okay, but Europe, the First Crusade, on to Jerusalem, and they got to Jerusalem. Fantastic. I loved it thoroughly. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this reaction. I hope you really enjoyed this. What did you think about this reaction? Did you like it? And if you're a Muslim, I apologize. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just telling you, like, some of these Abrahamic religion, even Christianity is kind of, Christianity is not, as hardcore as Muslim, Muslim religion, but still, like, it's like, it's not hardcore, but more like the people. It's like it forces people into believing in a certain way, and that makes people not want to believe. That's another problem with Christianity that I've noticed recent times. It's almost like there's no need for God, among Christians especially, But if you were to go into like Buddhist places, Hinduism and my Hinduism and stuff like that, people still believe in God. They live life. It's not really like technological revolution and all that. Being famous and being rich is not always the main goal of people over here. Even though being rich is one of the goals of the people that believe and stuff like that, the people that live over here in India. But in Christianity, it's fame, riches, and sex, and all these are the most important things over there in the Western society. And it's like, man, what happened to your belief in God? When I see a fantastic series like this, people sacrificing, people doing everything to reach the Holy Land, and going, talking to many leaders, many people, and devising plans to take over forts and stuff like that. It's just so inspiring. These people are moved by God, and they're inspired by Him. They want to see Him. They want to reach the Holy Land and stuff like that. It's so amazing to see all that. But then now in the Western society, when I see all this, when I see it, not even a little bit of godhood anywhere. It's weird. It's fucking weird. And the obsession with sex is like, it's almost like, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's the degeneracy is through the rooftops, and there's no proper system of marriage or anything. Anybody can get married anywhere. Anybody can divorce anytime. As soon as they get married, they get divorced. What the fuck is going on, dude? The whole thing is completely fucking ruined. I feel like you gotta. Western society needs to ditch Christianity, in my opinion, in order to adapt some other peaceful, believable religion. Because I don't know, people, from what I'm seeing, they're not believing in Jesus or anything like that. Then it's also like almost impossible to follow Christianity and its rules and stuff. It's so hard to follow. That's something I noticed in the Western society. So I don't know, like I said, you might have to ditch your religion in order to adapt a much more functioning religion. But I don't know. And for me, Hinduism is not a religion. I'm a Hindu. For me, it's Hinduism is like a way of life. It's you don't do terrible things. You just be good. That's just the way of life here, and everybody's like that. Anybody that does anything terrible gets treated really badly, and gets shunned by the population itself. Because we don't like it, and it's not something to like when you're a good person anyway. And the person that committed any sin or whatever bad stuff already knows that that is wrong, and if you do it, his life is going to be destroyed. Everybody knows how to behave here. But in Western society, it's like freedom. Oh, freedom. So much obsession with freedom, man. I mean, freedom is important, but obsession, really, so much obsession. It's almost like Christianity is less of a religion and freedom is more of a religion, and more people believe in freedom than Christianity. It's like, what the fuck? That's weird. And they separate religion from schools and state or whatever. State and religion should be separated and stuff like that. It's because it's, from what I understand, it's almost impossible to follow Christianity, is why they separate this and that, from the schools and everything. Because here we still fucking, do our thing, but in Western society, it's not allowed, and there's this clear separation. It's like, that's crazy. And they call it brainwashing and all of that shit. It's all fucked up, man, in the Western society. There's so many things mentally, all of that wrong. It's so many things are wrong in it, and if you say anything, then it's weird, okay? And also, like, the people, the successfulness of a religion depends on the people that uphold it, So when the people don't uphold it, the people don't believe in it, then the religion has failed, in my opinion. So Christianity, I don't know about that. It's almost like it's failed, in my opinion. It has failed, So that's why I keep saying, like, the Western society, wrong direction, degeneracy top notch. I don't know why. It's crazy, man. Why? Because crazy shit. It's like the obsession with drugs, sex, and the women are like super sexualized. Nobody likes that, but Western people like it. The men in the Western society like it or something. I don't know. So that's my opinion. I'm very critical of the Western society. The people, 99.9% of the people that are watching my reaction of this probably are from Western society, and I'm sorry, okay? But you know what I'm saying. You know it, okay? It's so hard. Christianity is so hard. It's so impossible. I feel like you gotta ditch in order to adopt a better lifestyle, But whatever. Okay, so the first Crusade, extra history, final part. It's called On to Jerusalem, right? On to Jerusalem. Europe, the first Crusade, On to Jerusalem by Extra History Part 6, final part. I hope you really enjoyed this. I did talk a lot in the outro here, like almost like an explanation, okay? Like almost like a lecture. So I'm sorry, okay? But if you like this, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. It's my main channel. This is where I upload like once a week, because I got a copyright struck on my backup channel. There's a lot of Napoleon videos over there, Napoleon series and everything. Go check it out. The link in the description. There's a lot of videos there. You'll be thoroughly entertained. I got a lot of views too, but I got a copyright strike, so I'm not reacting every day anymore. But I do upload once a week, but I do upload a lot of videos that one day. So expect a lot of videos coming today, okay? So please make sure to subscribe to both my channels. Show me support, and I'll see you guys in the next Epic History TV's Crusades part. I would like to watch that. After this, I'm gonna watch that, okay? So please subscribe. Stay tuned for that. I will definitely upload it next week, same time, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.